It all started in the house of the Tylers, a middle-class family that had a young daughter, Lilith. The girl, despite her young age, had a very strong character. She had no friends, but she entertained herself every day with the friends she created in her imagination. One night, the little girl woke up suddenly with a pang in her chest. She looked around and all she saw was the door closing and a shadow walking out. She touched her pajamas and looking at her hand saw that she was covered in blood. She had been stabbed. She tried to scream, but something inside her wouldn't let her. The blood in her chest continued to spill as Lilith felt weaker and weaker until she lost consciousness. When she opened her eyes, she was in her bed, her pajamas clean and the door closed. It had all been a dream. She started to fall asleep again, but when she looked up at the ceiling, two giant eyes were watching her. Suddenly, what appeared to be a woman fell on top of the little girl. Lilith began to scream. That creature was exaggeratedly skinny, had a whitish complexion, had no eyes, and blood gushed from its sockets. It turned its head 360 degrees and laughed in a chilling way. Lilith's father came running to his daughter's room, alerted by her screams. But all he saw was a little girl shrieking as she stared at a fixed point. The girl told him that a monster was going to kill her, but the father, seeing that there was no one, tried to calm her down by telling her that it was just a nightmare. When Lilith fell asleep, her father returned to the room with his wife. He told her that Lilith told him that she saw things. They both stayed talking about the little girl's recent behavior. They were worried. From that day on, Lilith continued to scream every night. She said it wanted to kill her. So they decided to put a hidden camera in the room without the girl noticing. That way, they could understand what was happening to her. After a few hours, the girl woke up agitated. In front of her was that extremely thin woman, showing her sharp teeth full of blood. Then the creature spoke. She introduced herself by saying that her name was Nyx, and she would be her worst nightmare. She took out a knife and brushed the point across the little girl's neck, which immediately began to bleed. At that moment, hearing the girl's screams, the mother entered the room and began to shake her daughter to bring her to her senses. She told her that nothing she was seeing was real, that it was just her imagination. Lilith began to cry uncontrollably. She kept looking at Nyx, who was behind her mother, pointing the knife at her. The girl began to feel dizzy and passed out. Then her parents carried her in their arms and went quickly to the hospital, but not before grabbing the camera to see what happened. While the father drove, the mother watched the recording. She didn't understand anything. The girl woke up and she was paralyzed, seeing something. Later, she began to scream desperately. When they arrived at the hospital, they revived the little girl. As soon as she was stable, a psychiatrist decided to talk to her alone to find out what was happening to her, if she might have a disorder. Lilith repeated over and over again that this woman was looking at her, that she wanted to see her suffer. The professionals decided to hospitalize her for a couple of days to study her case. On the first night, everything seemed normal. Lilith slept hugging a teddy bear, while psychiatrists and psychologists looked at her through a mirror glass. Suddenly, the little girl began to feel very cold, but there was no one and nothing around her. A light came on in the middle of the darkness. There was a version of Lilith with 19 years. It was a mirror, and she was a teenager. She had 2-color hair and was holding a knife full of blood. The woman in the mirror said, "She's here. She's looking at you," while pointing her head at the ceiling. Shortly after, Nyx was stroking her hair while laughing in a dark way. Lilith started to tremble, but something inside her wouldn't let her scream again. The lights came on, and then a nurse entered the room. She helped her up and put her back on the bed. Years passed and Lilith lived in a psychiatric facility. Her parents had stopped visiting her. She had no friends. She spent her days locked up inside 4 walls. The young woman had grown up and was already used to living with Nix. Instead of getting on bad terms with her, she obeyed everything she asked of her. During the day, she kept telling her caregivers that she was there. She was always watching, but nobody listened to her. Until one day, she grabbed a nurse by the neck and broke it in half. Then she went to the kitchen and grabbed a butcher knife with which she killed all the stuff she encountered on her way to the exit. At last, she felt the sunlight on her pale skin again. When she was already on the street, she stole clothes and accessories, dyed her hair as Nick's orders so she could be different. And when she realized she was the same girl she saw in the mirror when she was younger. Lilith is now 19 years old and she's still running rampant through the streets, destroying everything in her path. She's looking for her parents so she can give them a surprise. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it. And if you want to see more Draw My Life videos, subscribe to our channel. See you in the next episode.